Selhertz.
Here.
Matt Mosley.
Here.
Aaron Borowski. Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Sue Grodick.
Absent, excused.
Kathy Pucci.
Here. Will everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This past Thursday, June 6th, marked the 80th anniversary of D-Day. The Allies' D-Day invasion of French beaches, codenamed Sword, Juno, Gold, Omaha, and Utah, is widely considered the most complex and consequential military operation in history. It required years of planning. It took almost 160,000 service members. It cost thousands of lives. 80 years later, D-Day is remembered for the sacrifices of Allied troops, the multinational effort, and the resolve of Allied leaders. While more than 130,000 Allied troops reached shore that day, an additional nearly 200,000 sailors operated 7,000 ships and landing craft. During the landing alone, casualties surpassed 10,000. By June 30th, the numbers of Allied soldiers on the ground in France had increased dramatically. More than 850,000 men, almost 150,000 vehicles, and 570,000 tons of supplies were on the shores of Normandy. Let us honor the extraordinary courage and sacrifice of those who fought on the front lines for freedom and those who supported them from afar. To quote President Biden, I call upon all Americans to observe this day with programs, ceremonies, and activities that honor those who fought and died so that men and women they had never met might know what it is to be free. Okay, we have minutes to approve from the May 28th meeting. I understand Councilman Coyle did provide some changes. Okay, so we'll need a motion to approve, please.
Motion to approve as amended?
To approve the minutes as amended, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Next, we'll have reports of commissions, committees, and boards. The Finance Committee did meet earlier this evening at 6 p.m., and we addressed the following pieces of legislation. Resolution 2024-9, and the committee did recommend council adopt. This is adopting the tax budget for the fiscal year 2025. This is for our property taxes. The rate will remain at 5.9 mils, no changes. And we are submitting this to the Budget Commission, who will then approve it. Ordinance 2024-13, also up for third reading, and the committee recommended adopting, amending Exhibit A of Ordinance 2024-12, providing for the compensation for the part-time, full-time, and administrative employees non-bargaining agreement of the City of Brooklyn, Ohio. And this raises the minimum wage for certain positions, and it also raises the top end of the range for law enforcement clerks to $25. Ordinance 2024-15, which is on second reading, enacting Chapter 121.08, council salaries of the codified ordinances of the City of Brooklyn. This is only on second reading, but for those who may not have been here at the last meeting, the pay for council has not been raised since 2008. This particular legislation was crafted by the mayor and Mr. Butler, and basically they took, based on the consumer price index, what small incremental raises would be, and then this is also extended out. This will not take effect until January 1st of 2028. So at that point, it'll be 20 years that the council pay has not gone up. And those were all the pieces of legislation that were addressed in the Finance Committee. Next, we have Committee of the Whole, and in addition to the legislation I just reported on, we also considered Ordinance 2024- 16, which is on second reading, enacting Chapter 157, connecting Commission of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Brooklyn. And then under new business, Resolution 2024-10, which is on first reading with a request to suspend the rules, extending the moratorium imposed by Resolution 2023-28 on the operation of and the acceptance and processing or granting of applications for zoning, occupancy, and/or building permit approvals for adult-use cannabis operations in the city of Brooklyn, Ohio, through March 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency. We have a current moratorium that does expire June 30th, and if we did not extend this moratorium, then potential sellers or people who want to open the dispensaries for adult-use cannabis would be able to make application, and they would come into the city under the state regulations rather than allowing us to enact our own local regulations. Resolution 2024-11, which is on first reading, and we also have a request to suspend the rules, creating an assessment equalization board and appointing 3 property owners in the city to the board and declaring an emergency. We notified some property owners on Brook Park Road that their properties will be assessed for some right-of-way improvements for the streetscape project on Brook Park Road. And we have had a couple businesses who would like to file an appeal, so we have to create this board. The board members will be Mr. Earl Blohm, who's on our Board of Zoning Appeals, Mr. Craig Farkas, who's also on our Board of Zoning Appeals, and Mr. Philip Smith, who's on the Planning Commission. Ordinance 2024-17, which is on first reading, amending the Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Brooklyn to regulate certain medical marijuana and adult-use cannabis facilities in the city. Mr. Butler did go through a very lengthy explanation of all the points to this legislation, and this legislation is available to the public on board docs. And I was just reminded that once again, I neglected to do the first public session. I apologize. If anyone in the audience has anything to say pertaining to a legislative item on our agenda, please step forward, state your name and address. You will be recognized, and please remember to keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. And thank you, Mary Jo.
Hi, it's me again. Victor Ardito, 7439 Outlook Avenue. Regarding your pay raise, I think it's great. We're spending money like wildfire. Why do you guys have to wait till 2028 for the pay raise? That makes no sense to me. Spending money like fire. I'll get to the other stuff on in the next speaking about all the money you guys are throwing away that makes my head babble. And people I talk to, they're all scratching their heads. Yeah, you're right. Have a nice day.
I can answer that. So when there's a law that elected officials in the state of Ohio cannot receive a pay raise while they're in the term. It has to be set prior to when the person would run for office. So there have not been that many pay raises, but what's happened in the past is a raise was adopted, and that means nobody gets it because you have to run again. And then there would be a portion of council, because we run in staggered terms, so then either 3 or 4, if they ran or if anybody ran, it's not the person, it's tied to the position, then they would get it ahead of the others who would be lagging behind. So I think the idea was that if we put it that far out, that would mean that everyone who's up here now, no one would get it, and that would include new people running, and it would go into effect on the same day for everybody. Did I miss anything, Mr. Butler? Okay, thank you.
The guys at Columbus and that are already at the...
Pardon me?
Guys at the Columbus making the laws are already at the dispensary.
Okay. Okay, next we will move on to the Recreation Board, and that is Councilman Tansky.
Schlippen. Brooklyn Recreation Department, in partnership with Brooklyn City Schools, is offering a summer recreation soccer camp for ages 5 through 12. This will be a 2-day soccer camp designed to teach kids to build on their skills and have fun while gaining confidence as a soccer player. Instruction will be provided by the varsity soccer coaching staff and players. This camp will take place at the Brooklyn High School Stadium on June 24th and June 25th. Rain date, June 26th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Players should bring tennis shoes, cleats, shin guards, water, and soccer ball. Resident fee $30, non-resident fee $35. Register at www.brooklynrec.com through June 14th. Space is limited. First 40 campers receive a t-shirt. Fall soccer, Suburban Recreational Soccer League for U9, U11, U13, U15 at the Rec Center. Residents $60, non-residents $70. Practices begin in August, games are in September. Registration July 1st through August 1st. Safety time will be held July 8th through July 11th at Veterans Memorial Park. Session 1, 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Session 2, 12:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. There will be a combined class graduating ceremony on Friday, July 12th, 11 a.m. at City Hall. Registration is now open to residents and non-residents. Resident fee $35, non-resident fee $45. Summer activities at the Senior Center for the remainder of June. June 12th, mystery lunch. Meet at the Senior Center at 11:30 a.m. Registration begins June 1st, cost $3. June 18th, Good Time 3, narrated luncheon cruise, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Meet at the Senior Center, 10:15 a.m. Registration is open, cost $65. June 20th, cookout, noon, cost $6. June 26th, bingo, 1 p.m. with Brooklyn Point. There will be a craft fair inside the Senior Center on Sunday, July 21st, noon to 6 p.m. This event runs along with the Big Band Blowout concert in the park. Craft vendors will have tables set up in the Senior Center. Summer concerts at Veteran Memorial Park are as follows. Wednesday, June 12th, Funkology at 7 p.m. Sunday, June 23rd, Armstrong Bearcats at 5 p.m. Sunday, July 21st, the Big Band Blowout at noon. Sunday, July 28th, Cheeseburger in Paradise at 5 p.m. Sunday, August 25th, Out of Order at 5 p.m. DJ swim event at the Rec Center outdoor pool on Friday, July 12th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. A DJ will be on pool deck. Complimentary freeze pop or ice cream treat will be available, one per person. Additional concessions will be available for purchase. This is a free event. Registration is required. Max 150 guests. The Rec Center meetings for June, July, and August are canceled. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is the Domestic Abuse Commission, Councilman Borowski.
Thank you, Council President. This past Wednesday, we had a Domestic Abuse Commission meeting at the Public Library. I'd like to thank Jamie Norden, a licensed counselor from Grace Church in Middleburg Heights, for coming and speaking on the programs that they offer to victims of different types of abuse. June is Elder Abuse Awareness Month. The purpose of Elder Abuse Awareness Month is to shed light on the abuse and neglect that elderly and the vulnerable adults face. The U.S. Administration for Community Living defines elder abuse as any knowing, intentional, or negligent act by a caregiver or any other person that causes harm or a serious risk of harm to a vulnerable adult. This can include physical, sexual, psychological abuse, as well as self-neglect, neglect by others, abandonment, and financial exploitation. National studies show that as many as 1 in 10 seniors are victims of elder abuse. In Ohio alone, nearly 3 million adults are the age of 60 or over. By 2030, older Ohioans will make up more than a quarter of the state's population. Signs of elder abuse can also include a worsening living environment, unexplained injuries, unusual behavior changes. If you are a victim of elderly abuse or that you know of an issue concerning elderly abuse, phone number for assistance is 1-855-644-6277. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Next is Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission, Councilman Coyle.
Thank you. Good evening. The Planning Commission meeting scheduled for Wednesday, June 5th was canceled due to a lack of applications. And the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting scheduled for Thursday, June 20th has also been canceled due to a lack of applications. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to reports of council, and this evening we begin with Councilman Coyle.
Thank you. June is nationally recognized as Pride Month, a month dedicated to celebrating the LGBTQIA+ community and their allies. Each year, celebrations and marches are held around the world during this month. It originated as a commemoration to those who rioted in 1969 in response to a police raid at the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar in New York City. Over the years, Pride has evolved to parades, festivals, and concerts across the globe. The meaning of Pride Month goes far beyond celebrations. Pride represents love, confidence, and togetherness. During June, many choose to show their support for the LGBTQIA+ community by displaying a pride flag, which is an all-encompassing symbol of unity, hope, identity, and support, similar to the way some might display a flag representing our country, state, or favorite university. This year, I want to extend appreciation and special recognition to Brooklyn resident Benjamin Mahalik. Ben and his partner Jacob personally purchased and delivered a pride flag to any resident who requested one from them. This is the second year that they've done this. It's so nice to see so many different residents displaying their support for a more inclusive community. Lastly, summer is upon us. If you couldn't tell by the cool and rainy weather that we had today, as Councilman Tansky mentioned in his recreation report, we will once again have the concert series in the park. This week, Wednesday, Funkology will be playing at 7 p.m. These are always a ton of fun, so please don't miss out. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Selchertz.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you to the individuals who came out and volunteered at the 25th Annual Brick Creek Cleanup that was held on Saturday, June 1st. About 32 individuals showed up that morning. Good thing to report is that the amount that was cleaned up of material waste in the area behind the fire station was less than prior years. Same can be said true for the lower bowl area of Brooklyn Memorial Park. Last week, one morning, we had a kind of an impromptu pop-up cleanup of the Ridge Road entrance ramp to I-480 westbound. That took about 2 to 3 hours. We ended up with 2 pickup truckloads of stuff. One of the things was actually a sofa. Future cleanups will be posted through social media and also the volunteer portal of keepamericabeautiful.org. Enter our home garden contest in the winter. Could be you. Show us your beautiful flower or vegetable garden or create a backyard oasis. Enter photo submissions with name and address to, and it's all one word, home garden contest at brooklynohio.gov by August 1st. Happy planning. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Mosley.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. I would like to applaud the City Building Department on organizing our annual yard sale weekend. I personally had people that bought items from me last year and they returned to tell me how much they enjoyed the event. Kudos to all the residents that participated as well. I also want to give a big thank you to Mr. Verba and the workers at our service department. I've had a few residents reach out about tree problems, and he quickly went out there. Well, Mr. Verba didn't, but he had his workers go out there and trim in a timely fashion. The Cuyahoga County Library, with support from the Cleveland Food Bank, will be hosting a free lunch for kids 18 years and younger, Monday through Friday until August 9th. There will also be a limited number of books that are being handed out. The time for lunch will be between noon and 1. I would also like to speak a little bit about Ordinance 2024-17, which is an ordinance regarding the rezoning for the permitting adult use cannabis, the sale of it. The people of Brooklyn spoke last November and voted to pass issue 2 just shy of 62%. While I understand that people voted for issue 2 for multiple reasons, whether it be to decriminalize marijuana or to allow a dispensary within the city, The most important thing to me is to make sure that we as a government take our time and listen to all of our stakeholders in the city. So please, if anybody, whether you're a resident or a council person, have any suggestions, this is just a first draft, please reach out to myself or my co-sponsor, Councilman Borowski. I would like to get this right, and time is of the essence. Lastly, I would like to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day this Sunday, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Borowski.
Thank you, Council President. First, I'd like to say that you did a fantastic job with the opening comments, making note of the 80th anniversary of D-Day. So thank you. Very well spoken. To everyone that took part in the community-wide garage sale this past week, I hope you enjoyed the opportunities to find some wonderful deals as buyers. If you're able to make some extra cash as sellers, the most important thing that I saw out and about in the community was we were a community. I didn't hear any complaints, any fighting, none of the sorts. Overly, it seems as though things went absolutely fantastic this weekend with it. So thank you, Brooklyn. And I would also like to say the restructuring of the median at Tiedemann by 480, overly, I think that's been successful. I regularly travel that every day, and the traffic has actually been better, in my opinion. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Councilman Tansky.
Thank you. Good evening. I would like to congratulate the Brooklyn High School graduating class of 2024. Best wishes to all graduates. I would also like to welcome Bill Carrick as our new full-time maintenance employee at the rec center. There was an article about Social Security in Markets Today, which talked about the rising inflation and the effects on Social Security for many seniors who rely on SSI for retirement. The Social Security Administration provides a cost of living adjustment, COLA, every year based on a measure of inflation during the third quarter of the year. The Senior Citizens League increased 2025 COLA forecast to 2.66%, following the most recent inflation reading for April. That's an increase from earlier forecast of 1.4% in January, 1.75% in February, and 2.6% in April. Despite the Federal Reserve's efforts to tame inflation with the tight monetary policies, it has struggled to push the annual inflation rate below the 3% mark. Meanwhile, its long-term goal is to get inflation back to 2%. If the Consumer Price Index readings increase steadily at the rate seniors think they will, it would result in a cost of living adjustment of about 3.3%. The reality will likely fall somewhere in the middle. Just because seniors feel inflation will persist doesn't mean it will. That said, initial projections from experts for steep decline in inflation have needed revision since the start of the year. The biggest reason seniors could be surprised by the latest COLA forecast has to do with the actual inflation they experience. Seniors have high expectations for the growth of inflation. That may be because the things they spend the most are increasing in price faster than things younger people spend their money on. A 2.66% COLA may seem low based on actual cost retirees experience, not just what they feel. The Senior Citizens League estimates Social Security benefits have lost 36% of their buying power since 2000 due to the higher real cost for retirees relative to the younger group. While we still have several months before we get to the definitive result on the next year's COLA, the number may still come as a bit of a surprise to seniors when it finally arrives. I read this because every time Social Security goes up, Medicare goes up. It's always breaking even or not pulling ahead. So I don't know what they're going to do with Social Security in the future, being that it's supposed to be running broke. The government better find money to fund it, like they funded all the pensions. All the defined pensions were funded across the U.S. for all the unions. So they better find, I don't know how many millions, if it gets into the billion, to fund the seniors the same way, because 2034 is coming up quick. And They're going to have to raise Social Security up to keep up with the inflation and the prices. So it's going to be interesting in the next few years on what's going to happen with Social Security. That concludes my report.
Thank you. I just have a couple brief items. I too would like to thank all the volunteers for the Big Creek cleanup. We had an absolutely perfect day weather-wise, and as Mr. Selchert said, it is good news that we're not finding quite as much trash as we have over the years. Specifically, I'd like to thank Mary Ellen Stasek from Big Creek Connects and Amy Roskally of Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District for all their efforts and all our volunteers. We always have a great turnout from our scouting troop that is sponsored by our firefighters union, Troop 319. I agree with Councilman Borowski with the comment on the turn lane extension on Tiedemann Road is working very well. And I would just like to give a shout out to resident Mr. Dennis Petro. After we had done the same thing on the other side of 480, extended that turn lane, he came to me with the idea of why don't we cut out that median and do the same thing on the other side. So I took that idea forward, and so I would like to thank him for bringing that idea up. And finally, I would like to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day. The mayor's not with us this evening, but I do have an update. Williamston and Burwell, TC Construction Company, is completed with the bid work except for the final striping, which should be done on Monday, which is today. The Tiedemann I-480 turn lane, TC Construction will be striping this lane when they stripe Williamston and Burwell, which was supposed to happen today. I-480 and Tiedemann landscaping Phase 1, which was from last year. There are areas that continue to wash out due to the topography of the land, so Everlast will be installing some river rock through the washout area to prevent this. The plan is to have this done in the next couple weeks. The Memphis Road Diet, the contractor is slated to be on site starting June 17th with a mid-October completion. There was a delay in the start due to a delay in some needed supplies. Southwood water main replacement, the bid opening for this project was, I believe it was Friday at City Hall. The lowest bid came in at $995,000, which is approximately $200,000 less than our estimate. The western city entrance on Memphis Avenue, which is where we border up against Lindale, there is a proposed sketch of the design for the entryway into the city. And I did speak with the mayor about this over the weekend to see if we could get a little bit more detail on it. And basically, this is just very preliminary. We're going to be applying for some funds through the county, and we had to just submit something very preliminary to include this area. So we'll have a little more detail a little bit further down the line. Landscape Architect Professional Services, we put out an RFQ for architectural landscape services for the designing of Brock, the Kingdom Trail, and a dog park. We only received one back, which was from Benke. We've been pleased with their work thus far, and a contract is currently being written to partner with them for the designs. Veterans Memorial Park, we've been meeting every 2 weeks to move this project forward. Benke is on schedule to have their design completed by August. Once we have a more concrete design, this will be shared. Ridge Road ramps, the mayor spoke with ODOT last week, and the I-480 ramps at Ridge are slated to be repaved at the end of June or beginning of July. Full repairs are slated for 2025. Senior Center floor project is moving forward nicely. We are on schedule to have the floor laid starting in about a week and a half. And now we will move on to our legislation. First up is Resolution 2024-9, which is up for third reading and adoption, adopting the tax budget for the fiscal year 2025. We need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
To adopt, Stephen Coyle,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley,
Yes.
Aaron Borowski,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Ordinance 2024-13, which is also up for third reading and adoption, amending Exhibit A of Ordinance 2024-12, providing for the compensation for the part-time, full-time, and administrative employees, non-bargaining agreement of the City of Brooklyn. We need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
To adopt, Stephen Coyle, sorry,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz,
Yes.
Matt Mosley,
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Ordinance 2024-15, which is on second reading, enacting Chapter 121.08, council salaries of the codified ordinances of the city of Brooklyn. Ordinance 2024-16, which is also on second reading, enacting Chapter 157, connecting commission of the codified ordinances of the city of Brooklyn. And under new business, Resolution 2024-10, which is on first reading with a request to suspend the rules, extending the moratorium imposed by Resolution 2023-28 on the operation of and the acceptance and processing or granting of applications for zoning, occupancy, and/or building permit approvals for adult-use cannabis operations in the city of Brooklyn, Ohio, through March 31st, 2025, and declaring an emergency.
Introduced by all to suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
To adopt, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Resolution 2024-11, on first reading with a request to suspend the rules, creating an assessment equalization board and appointing 3 property owners in the city to the board and declaring an emergency. And I'd like to amend this to insert the names of Mr. Earl Bloom, Mr. Craig Farkas, and Mr. Philip Smith. And I'll make that motion to amend.
Second.
To amend, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. And now we need,
Introduced by all to suspend the rules as amended.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
yes.
To adopt, as amended, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes. Ordinance 2024-17, which is on first reading, amending the planning and zoning code of the codified ordinances of the city of Brooklyn to regulate certain medical marijuana and adult-use cannabis facilities in the city. And Mr. Butler brought it to our attention, that a resident brought to his attention, that when you read where it says, "Be it ordained by the city of Brooklyn, Ohio," there's a clause that says at least 5 members concurring, that we do not need that. So I will make a motion to amend this by striking the sentence, "at least 5 members concurring." And we need,
Second.
To amend, Stephen Coyle.
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski. Kevin Tansky. Kathy Pucci.
yes. Okay, at this time, we'll have the second public session. If anyone in the audience has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and you will be recognized. And please observe our 5-minute time limit.
He's back. Vic Ardito, 7439 Outlook Avenue. This main plan you put into effect when Katie was here and everything, is there a way that you guys can adjust some stuff? I got on the plantings on 480 and that, all those plantings. Did the state pay for that, or is that on the city of Brooklyn? And the last ramp you did, you just mentioned about 480 eastbound. Where you planted those trees and did all the fancy shrubs and everything, the only people that can easily see that is if you're heading westbound at 480. You have to totally take your eyes off the road and look left to see it, which is a little dangerous. To me, it should have went down, further down, where it is sort of on the other side, the big pie shape. And I was talking to one of the city workers. Yeah, well, luckily you guys don't have to take care of that. No, the landscapers just do the trees and stuff. We have to manage to get up there and cut the grass. What should have been in that area was wild growing things, but I guess we're too late for that. They planted the grass over by the ball field where they put the lights in. I was walking through the park over the weekend. I had noticed before that, it was quite rough. There was a big place of gravel. So I was walking through, they got the new grass planted. They didn't manage to pick up any of the gravel. And there's some big tire tracks on there that are a little bouncier than I would like, but that's me. Some of these things in that, does more people oversee some of these things that we're going to do down the road or we're doing? Another example with my complaint about the signs being 8 foot tall. I wish you would have made some of them 8 foot tall. The signs out front, you put 5 foot tall up there. You planted 2 trees and shrubs. The 2 trees are already blocking it when you're heading eastbound to read the signs. To me, you should have went 8 foot, but what do I know? Again, the Memphis mediums. Is that something we really need? I know it's in your project, but the street's only so wide. A bit off in Springwood. I have a friend who lives on Springwood I saw over the weekend with the garage sales. He says it's in the morning during the schools. It's horrible trying to get out of her street. Just simply horrible. She says she's mentioned it to some people, and so far hasn't gone anywhere. Possibility they have some police organizing traffic up there. She said it takes quite a while to get out of the street. Burwald, nice, and Williamson. The asphalt looks real nice. I was walking down Burwald with the garage sales. In some areas, the curb's about 1 inch tall now. I don't see that getting any action now because it's all done. The cleanup was great. I was there with Andy and the guys. And nobody mentioned, but we did talk about it that day, of doing it earlier. Everything was so overgrown. There's plenty of trash there. It's just underneath. The grass by the creek when we used to go there was shorter. It was like 2 foot deep. So you really couldn't get in there to really get much. And I brought this up before. I had some trash to take out in the hallway and throw it out. And I walked up by the recycling can, and yeah, there's all trash in there. I suggested we put labels on there, but it's going nowhere fast. Have a nice day.
Whoops, sorry. Does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn? Okay, I can answer a few of these. I know over by the ball field, they were doing some cleanup, but we can check with our rec commissioner to see if there's anything that they missed.
They're done with the planting. There's a bunch of gravel in one area.
Yep.
Unless there was
We'll have them,
grass.
we'll have them check. The Memphis, it's not really a median. There's going to be 2 short areas where we're going to have some short plantings. Other than that, it's going to be a turning lane. So there is no median per se. We have 2 small areas, one in front of the library and one by City Hall where there are no drives or streets. And we will have some plantings to beautify the area. Other than that, there is no median. You know, the traffic issues we can bring to the attention of our chief. And we did one year, not too long ago, schedule the Big Creek cleanup a little bit earlier. We did, as you know, we did talk about it on that Saturday as well. And it is definitely something we're going to consider. The flip side or the downside to that is it was pretty cold and actually pretty rainy and wet, and not just a rain, but a cold. So I understand the dilemma. You either go earlier and it's colder and you get more trash, or sometimes, you know, when it's overgrown, you don't quite see as much. So we do realize that. Okay, anyone on council have anything further to say? Okay, we need a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
To adjourn, Stephen Coyle,
Yes.
Andy Selhertz.
Yes.
Matt Mosley.
Yes.
Aaron Borowski.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes, thank you, everyone.